Hasan Piker is a political commentator and former Young Turks news host who is now one of the world's biggest political Twitch streamers. Recently, Hasan has come under fire for attacking mrbeast and his attempts at charitable giving. Today we're going to be reacting to some of Hasan's criticisms as well as some of the blowback and decide, is mrbeast really the bad guy here? And what's the truth about Hasan Piker? Let's get into it. It's always interesting to see who lines up along what sides of a particular situation when it comes to online drama. As some of you will probably already know by now, mrbeast has cured over 1,000 people's eyesight just by paying for their LASIK surgery. Some Christians think that mrbeast, because his name is Beast and because he's curing the blind, is trying to make some sort of claim of being the Antichrist. That's not exactly my speed. You guys know me. I'm not somebody that really looks that deeply into symbolism. In my opinion, the Bible talks about a lot of antichrists, many small antichrists, and then one main one. I don't think that mrbeast is the main one, although he is definitely not a Christian. In that sense, all of us who were not Christians for our entire lives were at one point an antichrist. So I digress that point. Today, I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about the political reaction to this. Hasan Abi, or Hasan Piker. I want to talk about the reason that Hasan might be mad at mrbeast. So let's take a look at what he's actually saying, and then we can talk about why he's mad.
You watch the video, you go, oh, how cute and how nice. I watched the video and I'm filled with rage.
What's wrong with you?
That we shut off access to a 10-minute procedure because we paywalled it and decided that some people just simply can't get it. It is so insanely frustrating that it's up to one YouTube guy to decide to make content out of it that people who are too poor can't just fucking see. That's insane. Anyway, sorry. It's just a deeply, deeply frustrating concept.
Wait, that's a good one.
4 months. Did you hear about the concept?
There's no way he came up with that. He had to Google
I was more mad about the guy who couldn't go to work for 4 months because his eyesight is gone. It's another demonstration that we would be a more productive labor force even by capitalist desires, capitalist metrics of success if we just had free healthcare. It's crazy. Sorry.
Not wrong.
Okay, so you kind of get the gist here. What it seems like he's mad about is not really mrbeast's ability to cure people and just pay for it. He's mad that it takes a YouTuber to do these things when it should be the government's job. This is his opinion. Why I think he's actually mad, why I think Hasan is actually mad, is because you're seeing a demonstration of somebody who is using their wealth and their riches for charitable reasons, and charity is a Christian concept. This is interesting to me because this isn't just Hasan doing this. This has been a big take from a lot of left-wing activists and a lot of the left-wing content creators. They're incredibly mad, and they're calling it clout harvesting, right? Using poor people's situations for clout harvesting. Now, there's an interesting comparison to be made because there are situations where that is absolutely happening, where people are just going and filming poor people and then exposing them, giving them $1 for content. But that's not the case with mrbeast. First of all, mrbeast is just paying for people's thing and he's recording the reactions after he pays for them. And I would assume that these people would be able to opt out of being filmed, which they only covered, I think, 8 people. So you don't even know who the rest of the people are. And there's 1,000 of them. So he did a lot of this under the radar as well. I think it's interesting that people like Hasan are so angry because, let's face it, this is what you want out of a society. You want people who are wealthy to be able to dispense with their wealth and give their wealth charitably over and over again. You don't want a government getting involved, because the minute the government gets involved, they get involved with actually figuring out who's qualified for these things. And so they decide who's qualified. They decide who does get the surgery. They decide who doesn't. They decide how much it costs. And you're seeing, he says, oh, this should be all free. This should be free healthcare. And me, as somebody who has epilepsy, who spent a lot of time in hospitals and who generally understands the healthcare industry and the way hospitals work, the people who deserve it most are not going to get it. It's just not going to happen. And you see this in places like Canada, or you see this in places with free healthcare like Venezuela even. The people that need it most don't get it. They get put on a waiting list. And then what happens is politics enters the fray, and people who know the doctors and people who know the heads of the hospital, they get treatment first because it's all free. So we get to decide what we do with our resources because, hey, it's free. You have no say. The ability to pay for healthcare, the ability to pay for the services you need from a doctor ensures that you're getting the proper service. And so all Mr. Beast is doing is taking his money and allotting it to resources so that people can see, okay, we're going to get the care we need because we're paying for it. I'm personally not paying for it, but this incredibly generous, wealthy person is paying. And I think that bothers a lot of people on the left because they think riches in general at any cost are bad. And the way I see it is that richness or riches or fame or money exposes character. It just exposes who you already are. Let's take a look at his response and let's take a look at what Hasan has to say about his response.
Mr. Beast responds to your critique. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. He didn't respond to my critique. He saw a lot of people talking shit, and I think he read it, and normally it doesn't even matter because...
So what he answers is, I don't understand why curable blindness is a thing. Why does the government step in and why doesn't the government step in and help? Even if you're thinking purely from a financial standpoint, it's hard to see how they don't ROI on taxes, tax reform for people being able to work again. So this is Mr. Beast responding, and he's saying, I don't understand why this is a thing. If you watch the video, he's showing how simple of a procedure this actually is and how much it's really not even something that requires a lot and it would help the workforce, right? Because if more people can see, then more people can actually go back to work. They can get a job, they can provide for their families, and it actually helps the government to not have to fund all of these extra people. But let me tell you something. The reason they don't do that is because a disarmed populace is better for the elites. A disarmed populace is better and easier to control for people who are in places of government, high-seated government. But if you're giving people the bare minimum of what they need, then they don't feel the need to work. And if you actually de-incentivize them from working by giving them free money and saying, well, if you make X amount of dollars more, then you don't get welfare anymore. When you de-incentivize them from working, they're like, I might as well not work and just continue on with the welfare program. I've seen it happen over and over again. I've grown up in places where these kind of things happened, and I've even been on welfare for a season in my life. I understand the incentive to not want to work in this country, especially when you have everything you need. I've grown up with people who were middle class and then who were actually low income. And the people with low income had their fridges stocked every single week, while the people who were middle class, sometimes they didn't have food in their fridge. And because they made too much money, because maybe they were a dual income household, or because they didn't have enough dependents, or they just didn't want to claim their welfare, they didn't have as much to eat and had to work extra hard to put food on the table. And so the welfare system is not actually what we think it is. The welfare system is a way to de-incentivize people from actually getting out into the workforce, which is why the unemployment rate is huge right now. And it's higher than it's ever been, especially with COVID happening.
Tweet, it's a good take, and I stand by it. I agree with it. Yeah, but a solution is still capitalist. Wait, what? No, it's not. Asking the governments to step in and help pay for medicine is not capital. Like,
see the disdain in his voice when he's talking about capitalism? It's interesting.
No, never mind. He's actually spitting. All the top comments originally were like people losing their minds who did not read and were just like, dude, fuck you. You're a fucking idiot. Why don't you also get 1,000 people and cure their blindness?
Why doesn't he actually cure people's blindness? And I think that's one of the things that Brett Cooper said on her channel when she was talking about this whole mess. A lot of people on the left are showing Mr. Beast in a negative light because they don't want to be held accountable to what Mr. Beast has been able to do with his money. So these guys are really famous Twitch streamers. They have tons of money. They're very successful. And so if they see people with success actually giving back selflessly, then they as well have to do that in order to continue to get that respect or the empathy of the left, right? So there's a tweet from Mr. Beast kind of responding to the criticism of what's actually been happening. He says, Twitter, rich people should help others with their money. Me, okay, I'll give my money to help people and promise to give away all my money before I die. Every single penny. Twitter, Mr. Beast bad. So you see the actual dilemma that Mr. Beast is in, where it's like, okay, I'm not a Republican or I'm not a conservative. I'm not that guy. So, you know, I agree and I want to be friends with people who are in mainstream and on the left or, you know, left of center, whatever. But then when I actually use my money to do good things and to be charitable to other people, they call me some sort of villain for even having to do that. And so there's no winning for him. And this is why I'm constantly talking about how the left politicizes everything. And so us as Christians, our faith is being politicized. Our charity is being politicized. Pretty much every aspect of our public lives are being politicized. And so for us to think that we can escape politics is a naive perspective. We have to engage on these issues. I'm not saying to be partisan. I'm not saying to be, a MAGA Republican. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is that we have to have a healthy understanding of politics because the world that we're in demands us to be political. In this country, in 2023, we're demanded to be political about every public decision that we make in our lives. And so with people like Hasan leading the way on the left and people like mrbeast trying to be philanthropic, good people, it's very easy to see why people on the left are actually really mad at him. It's because he wants to use his wealth charitably. He's causing these creators to put a mirror up to themselves and say, why haven't I done this too? Well, government should be doing that. It shouldn't even be up to a YouTuber. It shouldn't be up to a person in the private sector. It shouldn't be up to an individual business. The government should be taking care of these things. But why? And Christian, it should be the church that takes care of these things. It should be the church that's helping people who are poor. And guess what? They are. Christians in America, statistically speaking, are the most charitable people in the world. And so when we put that mirror up to people who are like Hasan or who are like these other influencers on the left, they cower and they say, no, we hate capitalism and it should be all about big government. And so that's my kind of analysis on this. Make sure that you subscribe. I know that like 60% of you are not subscribed. I know a lot of you have found this because of a YouTube short. So if you found me through a YouTube short and you're still not subscribed, make sure you do that. And if you want to support this channel, if you want to help me continue to grow this thing and to maybe be able to put out more videos, there's a link in the description of how you can do that. Patreon.com/AngelKiros. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.